Perspective is the lens through which we view and interpret the world around us. It shapes how we experience events, people, challenges. It influences our thoughts, our emotions, our actions. Whether positive and negative, empowering or limiting, the way we perceive situations has a profound impact on our personal growth, our decision making, our overall happiness. Understanding the importance of perspective allows you to see beyond the surface of the challenges. You get to embrace new ways of thinking that lead to better outcomes. I believe one of the key reasons perspective is so important is because it directly influences our response to situations. For example, when you're faced with a setback or an obstacle, someone with a negative perspective might view it as failure or insurmountable, like a great big wall. While someone with a more positive perspective might view it as a learning opportunity, lily pads to get across the lake, a step towards success. This small shift in perspective changes how you respond, and ultimately it reduces the feeling of stress and frustration, and it increases your resilience. I invite you to come along a small journey with me while I jotted down a couple of notes today when I was doing my journaling, and I really wanted to touch upon perspective with you. One of the first reasons why perspective is so important is that it gives you your reality of your life. If you're thinking a certain way, then that reality comes true, right? If you view challenges as threats, you become consumed with fear. If you view challenges as learning opportunities, you become consumed with growth. You get 1% better every day. Another reason why perspective is so important. I joke around with my son all the time. I did a video years ago about how failure is fun. Right? Failure is fun. Give me a great big high five. Woo! Let's go! Because failure isn't necessarily fun, but I like to think about it that it is. Because failure allows me to learn. It allows me to grow. Remember, I look at failure as I'm learning how the puzzle pieces are fitting together. Right? Life is just a series of puzzles. And we have to fit the pieces together. And when I fail, it's just like I took that puzzle piece, and it just didn't fit there. So I just move it off to the side and I try something new. Thomas Edison summed this up really well. He said, I didn't fail. I just found 10,000 ways that did not work. That's pretty powerful when you think about it. Check your thoughts. This is another note I made. So what thoughts are limiting your growth? Your thoughts really, really play a large part in how you perceive what's going on out there in the world. So what are your thoughts telling you? What thoughts are you repeating? We have about 60,000 thoughts a day. Excuse me. 60,000 thoughts a day. 80% of those thoughts are negative, and 95% are repetitive. You wonder why you're on the hamster wheel? You wonder why you're on the down spiral? Because this is what's going on in your mind. You're constantly repeating these negative thoughts. What happens if you could start? I'll give you a really great example. I'm 53 years old. I grew up in the time of like black and white televisions, the little click, click, click handle. I was the remote control. When I was a kid, I was my father's remote control. Neil! Yeah, Dad, what's up? Put channel 7 on. And I'd have to trudge over to the TV. Click, click, static. Remember all the static? Shh, click. And I'd put the channel on. And then I'd run off and go do my other things until Dad wanted to watch Channel 11. Now, I grew up at a time when your actual phone, was attached to the wall by a cord. And you could only go so far because you were tethered with a cord. Remember the old rotary dials? Click, 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 click. And then you'd get to 9 and you wouldn't push it all the way and you'd have to start all over again. So when I wanted to start a YouTube channel, I did have the thought of, well, I don't know, man, I don't understand tech. Am I really, it's a young person's world. I don't have any right starting a YouTube channel. And when I have those thoughts, I immediately take one small action. I think to myself, hold on a second. Is the story I'm telling myself accurate? No, it's not accurate because I watch guys on YouTube that are way older than me. One guy that cooks. I watch this guy cooking. He's got to be 75, 80 years old. And everybody loves him. He walks through the grocery store. Everybody knows who he is. They go up, they talk to him. He's living such a great life because he's adding so much value to people's lives, teaching them how to cook, teaching them how to shop. So if that guy's doing it, and he's 30 years older than I am, I sure in hell can do it, right? So then I think to myself, what's one small action I could take right now to start gaining that momentum? I switch my perspective. I'm not too old. I'm actually very young. Scarcity versus abundant mindsets, right? Years ago, I believed that for me to prosper, others would have to lose. That's scarcity. For me to prosper, or for me to make money, somebody else would have to lose their money for me to gain money. That's scarcity. When you move into abundance, you realize that there's an abundance of everything we need in the world. There's an abundance of opportunities. There's an abundance of cash. There's something like $2.3 trillion in circulation right this second, as we're speaking right now. $2.3 trillion in circulation. You're going to tell me there's not an abundance of cash? Scarcity versus abundant. The abundant mindset says, what can I create? How can I add value to people's lives? What problems can I solve? What can I create for the world? I always say money, here's my money tree. Somebody gave this to me as a gift. They made me a little money tree. Money doesn't grow on trees, right? But it sure does grow on real estate. It grows on buildings. I'm living proof of that. I doubled the value of my building in just a couple of years. Buy a building. It has deferred maintenance. We bring that building up to livable standards. So it's not a slum anymore. And we increase the market value of that building because that building is now bringing in more income. So we created that money. Every time a company goes public, there is money created there. So thinking through the lens of I create money as opposed to I earn money. Self-talk. We kind of touched upon this, but would you talk the same way? Would you talk the same way to your mother, your child, your wife, as you talk to yourself? I know that I'm much harsher on myself, and then I believe that's self-talk. But when I ask myself, would I say that to my wife? Would I say that to somebody asking me for help? Would I say that to my kid? I'm like, there's no way I would talk that way to my kid. There's no way I would talk that way to my wife. There's no way I would talk that way to someone asking me for help in the same situation that I have. I would be encouraging. I would tell them, don't worry about the past. The past is the past. Right now, we're living our future's past, so let's make new decisions. Einstein said you can't solve the problem with the same thinking that created the problem. Let's start changing our thinking. That's what perspective is doing. Perspective is changing how we see the world, changing how we see the experiences that we're going through. Embrace challenges as growth, right? So what I write down for this? Life's full of challenges. You either come... Okay, so you can either see chaos as a challenge, or you could see obstacles or opportunities, right? So when you have challenges and chaos in your life, you could see that as either an obstacle or an opportunity. How do you perceive it? Do you perceive when you reach a challenge, do you perceive it as an obstacle? I look at challenges as what can I learn from this? I look at challenges as what do I need to learn? What skill set do I need to build out? Who do I need to speak to? Who's an authority on this topic? I look at it again as puzzle pieces. This is a piece of the puzzle that needs to be solved. It needs to be worked on. I either go out and I get the skill, I acquire the skill, or I speak to somebody and I hire somebody that already has that skill. Are you a victim or a creator? Victims look at external factors, creators look within. So I wrote down, if I didn't have bad luck, that's victim, right? If I didn't have bad luck, I'd have no luck. If the rich would just pay their fair share, when you're looking through the victim mindset, it's all about external sources. It's all about, I didn't get this done because I was late because the train broke down. I was late because of a flat tire. I was late because of the car battery, right? I got a flat tire once and I got really pissed. And I blamed the guy that cut me off because then I had to move into the next lane and I got a flat tire. When in actuality, the truth of the matter is, I probably wouldn't have got that flat tire if I would have done the proper maintenance on my car and I would have had really good treads on my tires. So is it really that external person's fault? Jeff Olson, in his book, The Slight Edge, I use this in my presentation. Jeff Olson in The Slight Edge says, when you take and retain full responsibility, even when others are wrong or the situation is genuinely unfair, you keep your life's reins in your own hands. Taking responsibility actually liberates you. Viktor Frankl, if you don't know Viktor Frankl, he is a gentleman that survived the Nazi death camps. So you want to talk about somebody that had everything stripped from him, and he was still able to keep a perspective on life that allowed him to get through those death camps, and then he went out and he documented his journey in those death camps. Man's Meaning of Life, I believe, is the book. But he says, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Here's another quote that really, really will hit us home. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose. And in our response is in our response lies our growth and our freedom. So between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. That's a huge shift in perspective, is it not? How about this? This is a perspective I had a few years ago before I really dived into mindset, and it was I have to. I have to go to work. I have to fold the laundry. I have to clean the car. I have to fix the car. I have to clean the house. I have to walk the dog. I have to. And the switch I move to is I get to. It's one word. I have to. I get to. I get to go to work. I get to clean the car. I get to clean the house. I get to walk the dog. Just think about how you feel. Do one I have statement and then turn it on its head and do an I get statement. It just makes you feel lighter. It does for me. I get to is a very powerful shift. It cultivates gratitude. It cultivates gratitude, and it enhances your productivity. It transforms the mundane into an opportunity to experience life. So when I say I get to, it switches my mind to focus on the things I get to do. I'm getting to do this. I'm experiencing life. It turns it into an experience. I get to explore. So much better than I have to. I have to sounds like I'm forced to. I get to sounds like I have the freedom to go do it. What questions are you asking yourself? Are you asking yourself disempowering questions or empowering questions? Are you focusing on... Excuse me, I got a little bit of a cold. Are you focusing on negative? Are you focusing on positive? When you shift to empowering questions, so here you go. What can I learn from this? That's an empowering question. Right? What skill set can I build from this? What will this teach me? All empowering questions. Disempowering questions. Why is this happening to me? Why is this always happening to me? Why me? So are you, again, focusing on the positive and the negative? Disempowering to empowering. Instant gratification or lasting results. Ooh. In today's day and age of us always getting instant gratification, right? We can literally go on our laptops, go on our phones, push a button, and something will appear on our doorstep in an hour. We can order meals, we can order from Amazon, we can do all of this stuff. And it just automatically happens, right? I could put a post up on Facebook and I instantly get likes. And I'm so used to this instant gratification that things happen immediately, that when things don't happen immediately, I feel like the world's against us. I have that short-term thinking. Short-term thinking leads to meager results. Long-term thinking, building strong foundations, being the third pig, is about building really strong foundations and surviving winter. When you have those longer views, and you're building and constructing life around those longer views, you build that strong foundation and you become more resilient. You become stronger. That's literally the story of the third pig. The story of the third pig simply states that, you know the story of the three little pigs. One pig goes off and builds his house out of straw. One pig goes off and builds his house out of wood. And the third pig goes off and builds his house out of bricks. The first two pigs want to just party, so they rush the process. They want that instant gratification of going and partying and enjoying life because they finally move out of Mama Pig's house. The third pig's like, no, I got to build a really strong house so that when bad weather comes, I can weather that bad weather. When the wolf comes, bad weather, I learned the third pig because of COVID. COVID was my wolf or my bad weather. And I had a strong foundation, so I was able to make it through COVID. I had capital reserves. I had money stashed away, returned earnings. I had enough cash so that I could make it through that winter, because winter will come. It's not a matter of if it will. It absolutely is coming. We just don't know when. So we have to prepare ourselves for that. Are you preparing yourself? Are you building that strong foundation? Let's end it with this, because we're getting long here. We're 20 minutes already. Let's end it with this. Changing your perspective, and I'm going to read this straight from, because I gave this a lot of thought. I'm going to read this straight from the tablet. Changing your perspective is a powerful tool for transforming your life. how much or what would it mean to your life if you just used one of these strategies to change how you viewed what's going on in your life? Life happens for us, not to us. That's another one, right? So changing your perspective is a powerful tool for transforming your life. It's transformed my life. I'm here now because of how my perspective has changed a life. So when you make the shift that I've made, and I'm suggesting you make here, you not only change how you see the world, but that perspective shift that you make, it changes the world you live in. Think about that. It changes the world. Your perspective and making that shift can change the world that you live in. It can have a huge impact on not only your life, but your family's life. Guys, around here, we live up here in the numerator, not down in the denominator. I want you to go out there today and be unstoppable and absolutely crush your day. Guys, I love spending time with you. If you have questions on this, please drop me a note. If there's a topic you want me to address, please ask me a question. I'm here to help you. I love spending time with you. Have a very blessed day.